Yo! Video games.
All right, we did it. We survived.
Got back.
We literally just walked back from watching Avatar 2, I swear.
Yeah, I was the
we
last one
literally just
watching.
got back.
These guys all watched it together.
No, we watched it.
Yeah, you guys watched it.
We got here first.
Yeah.
You just sort of said that.
No, you guys watched it.
After we all
before
finished Avatar
And then
1
I came in.
back
I
in
watched it later.
2009, we started a full journey around the Earth. It took us 13 years, and we saw Avatar 2 when we came the full circle.
Yes.
And then we arrived, and we saw it in the most splendorous 3D, high fidelity, high frame rate, 4K, most beautiful shit you could possibly see.
3D
projectors.
Yeah, so we could spoil it now. We saw it in Dolby 3D at the Burbank AMC. Burbank AMC 16.
Yeah, and then like you said, Max is doing a bunch of research to see what is the best possible looking.
Because it's either going to be in 2K high frame rate or it's going to be at 4K 30 at IMAXs, and I'm like, I don't know about that. So we got like the primo experience. Tickets were $28 a pop. So they were ready. They've been waiting for this movie to come out.
To me, like it's kind of worth it.
It's worth it. Yeah, I'll say it.
20-something, $8 to watch Shazam or Black Adam, and I was pissed.
The moment it's worth it is when the ships, when no spoilers really, when they look up and they go, it's the deacceleration when they think of these stars, and then it goes to the shot in the sky and you see all the ships deaccelerating and they start landing. I'm like, fuck, this looks amazing.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Well, just the clarity at which we were seeing things. It was a lot of, because like the last movie we saw was Wakanda Forever, and that movie was just dark.
It was just dark.
It was dark.
Oh my god, it's almost like unfair. The underwater sequences in that movie compared to this, it's like
Wakanda
unfair.
Forever could have been good if they just didn't make it so dark.
Yeah.
Some of the scenes looked great, but it was just all
like
in
they
the
shoot.
dark.
Yeah, it was
feels
like murky too.
Yes.
It feels like they're using like murky atmosphere and darkness to literally hide effects,
Or maybe just
to hide the fact that the effects aren't great or something like that. It feels that way unless with a lot of movies.
Didn't this movie actually, at the beginning, it actually showed off like the fidelity of the difference of what was going on in the movie? Like they showed off like one side.
Oh no, that's AMC shit.
That's AMC.
That's normal. That's in every AMC theater. It's like the black level is this.
And then, look at the fidelity that we have in our theater. So maybe it might have just been a theater thing. I don't know what theater we saw.
We saw it at an AMC.
We saw it at an
Every AMC does that, where it's like our screens are good.
Yeah, our screens got better projection.
This was like. So, like, you see that, and then the actual film cuts in, and it cuts to the Fox logo, and it's like 60 FPS Fox logo, and it's crazy clear. I'm like, holy shit. Anyway, I think what we're getting at is that it's arguably the most beautiful movie, like, ever fucking made.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's so pretty.
Yeah.
And when that water kicks in, you're like, man, I'm glad I paid for 3D.
Yeah.
Like, holy horse, bro! Like the 3D's here, and like there's some scenes where the water's right here, and the water's like literally up to here in your face, and it almost feels like you're underwater because literally the water is like right here. You're like, whoa.
Yeah, the water is really good, but just not as good as GTA.
Yeah, I saw that one coming.
Did you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did you?
Shocking.
We're
shocked.
It was so I think overall expectations, because it's like probably my most anticipated movie of the year. Top Gun was obviously great, and it was like a little sleeper hit, where it's like suddenly, holy shit, Top Gun's amazing.
Yeah.
But Top Gun and this are like the pure spectacle of cinema, where it's like they want to get your ass into theaters to go see this shit.
Yeah.
And this movie and Top Gun are like the perfect examples of that. This is why theaters exist. Like, this is the reason why you go to the theater with a bunch of people that you don't know. There's all this collective energy about, wow, what we're looking at is fucking crazy, bro. And it's nice that directors are still out there that are doing that shit, which is why I just appreciate James Cameron. All of his movies always do some crazy pioneering bullshit.
You just one thing you don't bet against James Cameron.
Yeah, and I think overall, like, I really liked it. I liked it more than the first one, just because it's a more personal story. The first one's an epic.
Yeah, that's one thing that I would say is like overall is like it's a little less like grand scale.
Yeah,
because the first one is very standalone and just sort of like it's a big event movie, but it's like here's a big story with a really, really big
overarching.
Like the third act is like Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, like Return of the King finale shit.
Yeah, scale. Yeah, like final act. So it's like this one is a little more There's more characters.
There's a lot more characters.
But it's more personal.
Yeah, so what I find really impressive about this movie is that in Avatar 2, there are significantly more like main characters that are following our characters around and also supporting characters on both sides, unlike the bad guys and even the good guys.
Yeah.
And while I don't remember each individual character's name, I don't feel like they didn't get their own individual screen time. Right? There wasn't moments where I was just like, yeah, that character's just there, whatever.
Yeah.
Everyone sort of like felt right and normal.
Yeah.
Like the youngest one and Spider, I think, don't get the most. But Spider eventually like comes around and gets some, which is like the dude that acts like a person.
There's a shocking amount of time just spent with the antagonists.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which the first movie didn't really have. There's some really interesting like narrative things that they're doing here, which is
I can tell you why that is, but I don't know. It's spoiler though.
Well, like it's interesting how like because in the first movie. You just follow really just Jake's.
Sully.
Yeah.
You just
Jake
follow
Sully.
everything.
It's really everything through the eyes of Jake, his adventure, yeah.
Like there's a little bit of scenes where like Sigourney Weaver Grace goes and she's arguing with like the corporate corporate guy, Selfridge, or she's arguing with Miles. There's a little bit of that. But like there is no point in the original movie where you're just spending a long amount of time with the bad guys. There's like one scene, I think, basically in the first movie where he's basically like talking him into letting him blow up the tree.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of like mostly
it's kind of crazy how much screen time is given to Quaritch in this one. I mean, that's not really a spoiler. I think it's in the trailers now. But, just in general to the movie's bad guy, there's a lot of time.
Yeah.
It's like quite a bit.
He actually, like, the villains get a villain's journey.
Yes.
Like, which is interesting.
And they actually do something with the bad guy instead of just being the bad guy. Like, the bad guy's story now is pretty fascinating of what he's dealing with, what he's, like, juggling, and how he approaches it going forward. It's like, this is interesting.
Yeah, but and it's personal, too.
Yeah.
That's also, like, a personal thing. So, like, everything is kind of, like, on a more personal scale, yet... Of course, this is a movie that's basically like a fake National Geographic film as well.
Pretty much, yeah.
So
it's like
dude.
fake Planet Earth like movie with like an action epic adventure.
And what's wild is the majority of the movie, a good portion of the movie is that, but I don't feel like, oh man, like I'm wasting my time, right? A lot of it is just like this world and you're learning about it and it's like you're watching a National Geographic thing, but I'm just like... I've
heard reviews from some people say that some of those moments like drag on and like the world building stuff. Did you guys feel that way?
Oh, I was just like this.
A little bit.
Give me more. Oh wow, this is how they live. And
I think it's really
A
much
little
how
bit, like when they were doing the coming of age for the kids and stuff like that. They were
the underwater stuff, right?
Yeah, they were really pouring in the whole idea of check out this scene. It looks fucking amazing. We're gonna really push the 3D element of this part. And like if you really look at the coming of age part where the kids actually get to the water area. They have a whole entire, I think it was like 30 or 40 minutes of them just exploring the area. And there was a world building of that entire area. And they're really pushing the idea of, check this out. This is what 3D really looks like. And this is the epitome of what good filmmaking actually looks like. So they're really pushing the idea of, I can at this particular area. So yeah, I felt that kind of dragged a little bit, but I get what they were going for. They really wanted to show you that stuff. So. It was really in there.
I just enjoyed it. I just like, oh wow.
Sure, you can enjoy it.
It's a whole new tribe.
Sure, you can enjoy it, but it was just it dragged a little.
It was like really going into Kiri and how she's like different.
Yeah.
She's not the same.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moments of the movie that really dwell on her because she's like practically a main character of the film, and they're setting up a lot with her, but that doesn't really pay out just yet.
They're hinting.
There's a lot of hints, and it obviously comes to a conclusion in the end. But
strangely, there's a lot of really quick build up at the beginning of the movie, where like
montage stuff,
like the sort of catching you up aspect. I think before the title drops is like there's a lot of crazy stuff. They have to like so the main character has. Three kids, 2 adopted. And he has 2 adopted. One of them came from the.
One was a mystery birth.
One is a mystery birth that just came from the corpse.
No, it came from the living avatar of a dead person.
Right. It came from because I guess
Sigourney Weaver's
technically
avatar.
the avatar wasn't dead; she died, right?
Right.
So they were just kind of like keeping it on ice or whatever, keeping it So like that got pregnant. They're like, what the hell is that? So they adopted it. The Navi's or the Avatar's unconscious baby, and then there's a human baby because he can't. Because at the end of the first movie, they basically say like he's too young to go into cryo. He was born on Pandora.
Yeah.
So they just sort of like raised him. Yeah. As a human. So they kind of like catch you up on all of that. And then they have to catch up on, like, the humans.
It got ahead of me a little bit. I was like, what? And then I picked it up, like, a little bit later into the film where it's like, oh, okay, so that's what they're getting at. What the shit is going on?
Which is kind of funny because it's an over 3-hour film. And it's like, I guess you could have spent another, it feels like you could have spent another half hour just sort of like the in-between 1 and 2.
Oh, yeah, you could have.
You probably could have. And
it feels like that probably is, but similar to Avatar 1, what do you do with, like, the prologue stuff? You just, whoa, we're going to fly through it. Let's get to the planet, you know?
Yeah. And the thing is like, surprisingly, you spend a lot of time in the original, and I actually kind of like this. A lot of time is spent in the original areas of the first movie before they get to obviously the ocean stuff. Yeah. So there's a
good amount of force. So there's action sequences.
There's a good amount of time where it's sort of like reestablishing where you are, where the characters left off at, and like get you familiar with your surroundings. Yeah. Then we're going to introduce you to a new area. Yeah. So and like a lot of smart stuff and stuff I appreciate in the fact that like it's not sort of just kind of like something's happening. We got to go like panning aerial shot immediately of like next area, like move on to next area real quick. Like it doesn't. It's indulgent. Yeah, it's indulgent in a way where Peter Jackson movies used to be indulgent. Yeah, like Lord of the Rings, King Kong.
I don't think it's Hobbit indulgent.
Well, yeah, but I mean like. Definitely still like, okay, like we're not going to not spend time somewhere because we feel we have to, there's none of this, we have to meet this 2-hour script like limit. There's none of this like
too little butter spread over too much bread.
Right. Well, there's none of this like, hit the beats, hit the marks, keep it going, just like, don't spend too much time here, like move on to next, big action scene. Yeah. There's none of that in this movie. This movie is like indulgent because like he got all the money in the world with the first movie, so he's just I'm going to spend all the time I want.
It basically didn't feel rushed. Like there was a lot of
none of it was rushed. The whole movie screams like this is a huge passion project. Yeah. And that's kind of like I think a big thing to take from it in difference to some films that have come out like between Marvel movies and what people feel about Phase 4, where it's like does this feel like just like an opt-out cash grab in some situations, or do they really like love this, like the Black Widow movie, for example? And this comes across as something very different. It comes across as like, as far as epic cinema, which is out there right now, this comes across as like, oh, there's a reason why this took like this many years to make. Yeah. Like you see it on the screen. The story is like, I think better because it's a more personal story related to like this family dynamic. It's all about family and the ocean and protecting the ocean. Yeah. It's not super deep. None of James Cameron's scripts. Like you might look at what is the story of Terminator 2. It's about a surrogate father that's a fucking robot, technically taking care of, learning to like that have a weird family dynamic.
Terminator 2 is just taking the first movie, flipping it on its head.
Exactly. The Abyss is has all this crazy underwater shit. It's literally about a man and his ex-wife that are estranged and they come to love each other.
I feel like Abyss is probably his deepest movie.
Technically, because they take away the deepness in the theatrical version,
which I still can't get over.
I would say Titanic, but you never watched it.
Titanic is like the most basic like love story, but just all of James Cameron. All his movies are well executed, but
I just wanted to shit on Simmons, okay? Shit on Simmons, come on.
Well executed, but simple stories.
This is some basic shit. Let's be real.
And that's why
saw it.
It's the reason why a lot of his movies.
You don't need to know it.
Why a lot of his movies are very like popular and make a shit ton of money. They're effective. It's easy to follow. Right. And the nice part about James Cameron movies is that you realize this guy is an absolute fucking master at action. He's an absolute master at just understanding where our characters are in scenes, when they're there, why they're there, what's happening, what gets us from here to there, and like you realize how hard that is to do.
It's hilarious because there's so much in this movie that's not action.
It isn't, yeah. No. But there's two big action sequences, and the rest is all world building and like character relationship building. Yeah. And like, there's some really, and it's got like, in my opinion, like Jim's classic like humor in it. Like, I absolutely loved the gag where, you know, this is a small gag, not too much spoilers, where they're trying to teach him how to breathe, and the teenage boy obviously has the hots for the girl chick.
The girl teaching
and
him?
she's like, she gets closer, she touches his heart. She's like, you need to slow your heart. And she's like, slow your heart, breathe in, slow your heart. And like his brothers and stuff are like sitting there laughing at him. Yeah. And he's like obviously nervous as hell because the hot girl is doing this. And she's like, you need to slow your heart.
Like your heart's beating really fast.
Your heart's beating really fast. He's like, I'm trying. It was like, this is cute. Yeah. This is a cute scene. There's obviously like Jim Cameron humor, like where the boys get into a fist fight, and then it seems like the dad is really mad at him, and then he asks, he's like,
"Hey, what do the other guys look like?"
What the other guys look like? Way worse.
Like, okay,
all right, get out of here.
Yeah,
there's some nice, touching, like little family moments throughout that are like, oh, these actually. What I kind of like about James' movies is that he writes characters kind of like they're real people. Yeah. You know, like they're very realistic, and sort of way they act is kind of normal.
Even though the dad is blue, he still has, you know, very humanistic traits. But he's adapted well, but he's still got...
Another credit I have to give Jim is that he has now had several movies where there are children directly involved with storytelling. And he has not had one movie where the kids are absolutely fucking awful and annoying.
Right. Yeah,
which is a huge problem in a lot of movies.
Yeah, that's something I didn't.
Steve didn't like Spider.
Spider? Well, Spider's not really a kid. Yeah. He's the older one.
Was he older?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, he's buff. He's like mid.
Spider was
he's
born,
like 15, 16.
Spider was born before all those other kids, so he's older than Jake Sully's kids.
Then that should be even a worse excuse for his acting.
Oh
my god!
Well, you don't think the acting was good on Spider?
I thought it was god awful. He took me out of the movie several times with his acting.
I didn't have a problem at all.
No, I didn't have a problem with Spider.
I like Spider. It was rough. It was rough on a couple.
Yeah, I don't think. I think Spider's motivation is definitely off at certain points. Just because I see why they were doing it according to the ending, you know. But
the hissing was kind of cringy too.
Because he was trying to be a blue person.
I get that, but it didn't come off as genuine at all. It came off.
He just wanted to be that.
It came off as somebody telling him, "Okay, hiss at this part," and he just did that part.
I don't know about that.
It was rough, man. It took me out.
He grew up and wanted to be one of them so bad.
There was also this instant where they were like they were like saying something like, "Hey, you want to go outside or something like that?" He's like, "Oh, you can't go," and he was like that, and he went like sad, and he walked away bad. But I was like, whoa, that was rough. Like, you could just tell that this was just something that he dialed in immediately and then just walked away slowly. I was like, oh no.
I think of all the siblings, Spider's definitely the weakest. You know, but he has the most plot integral story.
Almost the majority of the cast is CGI, so all the acting of that stuff is on point. You know what I mean? So
it's funny, yeah.
Yeah, so like,
I didn't have any problem with him. I thought the weakest acting was a couple early scenes, really early on, with some of the goons of the antagonist. There's a couple scenes where he gives a speech and they're like,
they were fucking evil. They were so nonchalant that I barely even noticed them. I mean, you know, spoiler alert. When they died, it was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, they were so inconvenient. Like,
I think we need to get into spoilers really bad. So, I mean, overall, we're already talking like we've already infatuated with certain parts of it. I fucking loved it. I think that it's like setting up for really interesting shit in the future.
Yeah, this one's more of like, this is setting up, where the first movie is very standalone. This leaves a couple. This isn't like you know, Spider will return.
No,
you know, and Avatar 3. It's more just kind of like there's some loose ends.
Yeah,
we left some loose ends.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and then
it feels obvious.
And speaking of end, like, sweet Jesus, dude, like the end of this movie concludes fucking brutally.
Oh yeah, I got it.
And it's like, god damn, this is the ending. Like, holy shit. Like, okay, wow. So they're definitely like setting up for stuff of where this can go and how it's going to go, and characters go through some shit, which is nice. It's nice to know that, like, this isn't a franchise where, you know, no characters are going to have traumatic shit happen to them. Like, no, that's going to happen. Like, characters are going to go through some shit. And Jim even said that. He's like, I want to put my characters through some shit.
Yeah.
And it's wild. Sometimes in movies, like I'll just be in the movies, I get annoyed, and I'll be rooting for the bad guys.
Because you want something to happen.
Yeah, not even like just the bad guy. I'm like, yeah, I kind of like the bad. Like this movie, I was legit cheering when humans were getting killed and getting defeated, and I'm like, yeah, fuck us, we suck.
One criticism
Fuck
I
us.
have is that there are some story beats in the movie that are very similar to the first one.
Yeah.
As far as like how things happen and when they go down.
Yeah.
It's not identical by any means. Different place, different characters, different time, but like. Yeah, so they're sort of like emulating the first movie a little bit with different environments and obviously different characters, and the story is obviously different, but it's like, I feel a bit of like, there's a bit of rhyming going on between script 1 and script 2.
There's a little bit of poetry. It's
a little bit of poetry.
It rhymes.
I actually hope the next movie doesn't do that, that it goes some wild places.
I think it could be setting up, because like if we're getting spoilers, I think it's getting there, and I think we're getting close, especially because like the way it ended and the certain characters.
Yeah.
I think we could get a little bit of deviation, because like and if we're in spoiler territory, and I was talking, I'm like, hey, what do you think? Do you think he's gonna have this moment and really where he changes?
Yeah.
Like Jake Sully did. So I could see Ian. Because
So spoilers, but it's like they're definitely setting up some conflict.
Yes.
And this is what I actually really liked about the movie a lot, was that the antagonist is basically facing conflict, like internally.
Yeah.
I love that actually, because
Oh God, do you?
Oh yeah, because I love it, because there's a great moment where he's just being an evil asshole, right?
Yeah.
And he's about to just fucking murk someone, an innocent person, and then he basically like he's kind of ignoring everyone, but then like someone very obviously close to him pleads with him not to, and he just is like, burn the houses.
Yeah.
So like he has like this moment where he's just like, he so wants to just fucking
be an evil asshole,
assassinate.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, well, I won't kill him, but he's like, I'm gonna burn their home. So it's kind of like, I love where it's kind of like, what is this leading to?
That was kind of Nam-ish to me. That was like some Vietnam stuff, right?
Well,
there.
I like the fact, because in the first movie, this guy is just completely just fucking one note.
Yeah, and that's he's the typical Jim Cameron bad guy.
He's just completely fucking one note in the first movie. In this movie, it's like he's being forced to go through a life experience that he naturally hates, doesn't want. And he's sort of like being forced to he's forced.
He's generally a computer program. He's literally just a hard drive.
He practically is at this point. He's practically digital data.
Yeah,
which that leads me a lot of other questions.
Yeah. So, and I thought they were going to potentially go here, but I think they're going to save it for later. I thought they were going to go into some Ghost in the Shell shit.
Yep, 100%.
And I think we're going to get there eventually, of like what actually makes a person, because there's already some stuff that is like not completely explained in this movie that's setting up for later.
Yeah.
That is like, it doesn't ruin the movie or take you out of it, but it's like, what does that mean?
It's another possible loose end. But like, I like the fact that it's like, okay, this is someone who's being forced to live an experience thing he did not want to do, did not care about, was completely like whatever, like just completely against.
Literally downloaded his brain right before he died.
Yeah,
shit.
well, I mean,
I think it was real time, because the funny thing that was kind of weird to me is the fact that the character, the dead
general,
the dead general, or the one that was going to die,
dead Quaritch,
was like, okay, you need to know that we're going after Sully. Like he said that, and the blue general. Like, why would he have a vendetta against this guy? Like, is that implanted in his brain, or did he have that uploaded during
he remembered it because it was right before they went on that final mission.
Right. So
already before that, they blew up Home Tree. Yeah. They knew that Sully was an asshole. They knew he turned on him. There was all this shit that went down.
So it's about giving that information, even though it wasn't...
Giving the information that, like, hey, if I didn't survive, it's because of him.
Right, and it would have been nice if that's literally what James Cameron was going for. He would have hinted at that at the first one, but there was nothing of that in the first one. All of a sudden, they just uploaded all their minds.
Yeah, you don't get any of that in the first one.
Right, nothing like that. So then, how all of a sudden, was this part of the plot or was this added? You don't really know. But at the same time, it's something of the
It happens off screen.
Yeah, it's something of the concept of, okay, they hired this guy back even though he failed. So do they really need this general? How much, like, why was it so important to hire the entire team that literally just failed the first mission?
From what I understand, it's because the experience they have on Pandora is literally formed in digital data.
Yeah. So
and that's valuable as shit.
So they get all this data, send it back, and they can just have an unlimited amount of these people.
Yes. They
So
can
then why
literally
just
keep
send a
making
bunch
them.
of them in there?
Because it takes X amount of years to grow it.
Because it takes them. That's what you just said. The body was being born on the way there. They were sucking it all up with like the what's it called, the fluid, the amniotic fluid.
He says like your body is being grown and shipped over right now. Like, or
if you mean like why didn't they ship 30 of them on the way there? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's clearly like they clearly have like all the money in the world, but also don't, because they are also pursuing other things that are making them money in this movie.
Yes, and we can
well,
talk
they
about
also
that
were
later.
implying too of how expensive it. Well, they say that in the first movie. They talk about how expensive it is to grow an avatar.
Yeah.
So we're talking about something very, very, very
Not 80
very
million.
Yeah, not
What I was
cheap.
gonna say, was it 80 million?
Not
Was it
80 million.
80 million, you sure? Was it not 80
for
million?
the Emery.
No, I mean, I get that aspect where it's like they have to match. They have to basically, to create the avatars, they have to match the human DNA with like a homegrown, like synthetic DNA of a Na'vi, and then it has to be grown, and it takes about 5 years to grow it.
Sure.
So, and it takes. The movie is 13 years after the
They
first
grow during the trip there.
It's 5 years. It was 5 years for them to get sent home and 5 years to come back, which is roughly about the same amount of time, 10, 11 years. So I get what's good. I get what's going on all there.
Yeah.
The only weird thing is, they didn't like. Again, you just sort of, I guess, inferred is the fact that because he was head of security for so long on this planet, that's the reason why they want him specifically to finish this mission. I mean, you can just kind of infer that, but we don't ever really get any deep explanation specifically as to like why they did this for him necessarily.
Yeah.
Like they just kind of seem like, hey, this is a backup in case you drop.
And hopefully they back up the backup just in case this one gets hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's the idea, is that they could, like,
right? They'll just get a backup of the backup.
And that's the funny thing about the situation is like
Unlimited enemies.
what's that fucking Arnie movie? There's one that's like this where you literally back up your memories. In the 90s, they had the crazy fucking
Recall?
future guns.
No.
Not Total Recall, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, like
Yeah.
6 Man or
Yeah, literally a very
Eraser.
similar kind of idea that like the Eraser. I think it was Eraser where Arnie is like fighting a bad guy who's a copy of the copy. And then the bad guy like meets his old version of himself that's dying and he fucking kills him.
He kills him. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was a good one.
Well, I think there's an interesting one, and the other one of the guys we saw with pointed out to me where he's like, maybe there's like something in the next couple movies that talks about this. Like, one of the plot points of this movie is that they never actually go after unobtainium, and they never even say the word. They never resume mining operations.
Yeah.
Now the majority of the reason the humans come back is because
The
planet's dead.
Planet's dying.
Earth is dying, and they need a new home for humanity. And then there's a B plot with some other guy who's doing his own thing for money.
Yeah.
But like, one of the interesting things might be like, okay, I don't know. They didn't say in this movie, are they planning to build atmospheric processors for human, so humans can breathe
That's
it?
very James Cameron.
Or
Are they going to all put themselves and become avatars?
Exactly. Like maybe.
And just adapt to the environment
That's
instead.
the environment, yeah. Just like, hey, you know what? Instead, we'll just be avatars. We'll get and we'll implant our memories.
Yeah, like
just,
maybe that will be a plot point where like the only way to naturally do this is to put yourself in this body, kind of, because in Pandora and the lore of the movies, it's not that humans can't breathe the air there; it's that there's too much
oxygen. It's too oxygen rich.
too oxygenated.
You live for only like a couple minutes.
So they're wearing filters, not oxygen, not. They don't have like giant tanks of air on their back or anything. Like they don't need that. They just need to actually filter out.
Yeah.
So it's just a filter. It's not actually.
So here's the thing.
It's not like they can't breathe the
that's kind
atmosphere.
of weird to me is the motivation of a character. The motivation of the character was these people are blowing up, or they're destroying the trains, and they're getting all of our gear. and they're doing that at a rapid rate. We need to take out their leader, which was Sully, and that way we can stop them from doing that. Sully realizes this because they got the kid and now they know where they are, and he says, okay, I gotta dip. He dips and gives them a new leader. What was the motivation of the character to continue going after the Sully when their new leader was still going out and doing more raids?
That is an excellent question.
Yes, because the threat that not the general, but the actual captain, her main thing was we need to stop them from raiding.
But you did notice that she didn't actually go after Sully.
She didn't go after Sully.
He goes and as he says, he commandeers a whaling vessel.
Yeah.
Someone who's unrelated
to going after Sully.
Someone who's, and he's still going off on his own.
Yeah, it's more like hunting like a specific like terrorist down.
Right.
Like in the US, like we would, I guess.
Yes, because again,
and it's just him and his goons.
Yeah, exactly.
Like his small amount of goons. So it's not like sending...
So does
there's no war.
That's what I'm saying. So does the captain even have any jurisdiction over him at that point? Because it's like, what is he doing?
Well, the real question, I think, to again, because loose ends left in this film, is how much does the new military human in charge care?
About the...
And it seems that she doesn't. She's like doing her own thing and pretty much gives him the ability to do his thing because it's going to obviously like help us out if there's not any crazy dudes that took out everybody before.
She cared enough to torture a kid, but once that was like, okay, they realized, oh, they're no longer in the hub that they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
I guess her focus should be, okay, how do we stop these raiders from constantly, taking our...
Well, that's the other weird thing is they don't actually say anything at all about what happens to his original tribe once he leaves.
Completely gone. Completely gone.
True. Yeah. But here's the thing too, like if they're military, then they're gonna know like we have to take out this guy. He's basically a spy. He basically knows.
Aspect
he knows our tricks. He knows our traits, and now he's combined them with that. He's the most dangerous person to us on this planet. Even if there's a new leader, he doesn't know what Jake Sully does. He doesn't know how the military works.
Jake Sully is literally from the inside.
He's from the inside. So that would be like the most dangerous person on the planet.
Right.
Like, he's the blue person that knows everything that we do and how we do it.
So that takes me to another point. The motivation of him trying to kill Sully was kind of the most comical stuff I've ever fucking noticed in this series. I'm gonna go with what Simmons told me about Last of Us. Simmons was telling me that he knew the plot point because it's old man. He lost his daughter, so he's trying to get with his new daughter, and now he's gonna have a change of heart later on down the road. Simmons already saw it coming a mile away. I'm looking at this movie. I see it coming a mile away. I already know that the general is going to have a change of heart. Yeah, he's going to have a change of heart later on down the road. He's going to bond with the kid a little later, and then he's going to be like, you know what? I'm not going to kill him. I'm going to join you guys. Or he's going to find a way to kill the captain towards the end or something like that.
Darth Vader shit.
Yeah, it's some Darth Vader shit. I see it a mile away. This movie is very cut and dry when it comes to the story and plot. You know exactly what's going to happen all the way through.
And that hasn't even happened yet.
And it hasn't happened yet.
That's like two movies in the future.
I'm literally predicting the next movie that's going to happen.
But that's what we're asking.
We can tell exactly what's going to happen.
I think
we know exactly.
I don't know. Like I said, like when I was talking with Mike about it, I don't think he's going to go full blue person, but he is going to kind of.
Because you see it coming. This is literally how the character's designed. You can tell as soon as he starts having.
I don't think he'll ever join sides, but I think my guess is he's going to nobly. He's going to nobly blow himself up.
Yeah, or some
blowing up
the mile away.
That's where I see.
Well, I mean, they set it up like 6 times in this movie.
Yeah.
It's so obvious.
He's gonna get to a point where they're gonna want to like kill the kid,
and he's gonna jump in the way. He's like, no, I love him.
He's basically gonna be like,
you know, it's coming, dude.
He's gonna like.
They did that in this movie.
Like, no, I know, but I think he's gonna get to a no way out point and kind of realize.
Oh, and he's gonna make a choice between him or his son,
but it's gonna just be like, you know what? I think his thing is gonna be like, I can never do what Jake did. But he's probably going to be like, yeah, fuck these humans. The humans are going to backstab him in some way.
Yeah, or something like that.
And he's just going to like blow them up. And he's going to blow up like a human
might be in a movie where
that's what I'm predicting.
Him and Jake have to work together and be.
I don't know about that.
I think that's going to happen.
Either the next movie he's going to be bad all the way until the end and he's good, or they're going to find a way to.
I think it's in a way where they literally have no way to go.
There's no way
and they have to work together.
There's no way that character's going to be a bad guy.
They have to work together. together.
I think that's gonna I think it's gonna be a Vader situation. He at the very end throws the Emperor off,
another trope.
like
Another trope of mine that I would fucking boiled my blood. Here's the thing. So you have the people that have the critics nowadays. They have either YouTube or they have Rotten Tomatoes. That's where they go to the that stuff. Siskel and Ebert is where I used to see like people be critics and stuff like that, and they were the first people to notice some of the cringiest tropes of filmmaking and movies. Is when a bad guy captures a good guy, ties him up, tells him the entire plot of what he's gonna do, and then walks away, so that the good guy can like do his thing and then escape all that stuff like that. This character had three chances to capture Sully using the kids, and Sully found a way to get in every single time. And what's funny is that if he's truly a bad guy, why don't you just kill the kids? If he's really a bad guy,
then there's no leverage.
Well, that's the thing, is that he didn't have leverage when the whale jumped on the boat, and the kids were right there, and Sully comes full speed ahead. His leverage should have still been the kids, but he didn't care.
But if he kills the kids, he's got nothing to lose.
Right.
And then
but
the thing is,
but you know that.
You can't capture him like that. Like, you killed my kids, I'm gone.
But there was that instance where he had two kids on his...
What does killing the kids do?
He was already pissed off at Sully for killing his team. He even said that.
Yeah, but
he says, you killed my team. Don't think I won't kill this kid. So
you mean at the very end?
Exactly.
Okay.
So if he is going to do that, and he has two of them, why not just kill the other kid that's already just tied up? You tied him up like 3 times, and even she says it. Dang, I'm tied up again. It doesn't seem like this character is even that much of a bad guy if he isn't afraid to do the bad thing that he's supposed to be. That he's
I don't think he's afraid of it. I think he's just kind of like he just wants to kill him.
Nothing about that character is convincing to me that he's going to do what he says he's going to do. You know who was convincing? Sully's wife. When she was about to raise her hand and murder that kid, you knew she was about that life.
Well, I think that's the thing is that she's, and that's like a really interesting point of this because she's
actually experienced loss.
She's emotional, and that's the thing. He's military, and he's been beaten. Emotion's been beaten out of him.
Right.
For him, it's just I just want to kill Jake.
Right.
And he's not. It's
the
not.
whole point of him attempting to do that seemed so. Like
killing another kid doesn't get Jake closer to him.
Right.
He just wants
Jake to come towards him.
It's a very cheesy film, but it's like the ending of Commando where he basically is arguing with Bennett, and he basically come on, put down the gun, Bennett, hit me with the knife, you want to stick me with a knife, put it in and see what bleeds. And that's basically what he does. Yeah. It's just an ego thing for him where it's just like
It seemed very...
killing off the kids doesn't get Jake to suddenly appear in front of him. He just wants Jake in front of him, and he wants to murk him himself.
But every single time he's trying to get the kids to get Jake in front of him, all it does is lead Jake to try to do some commando shit to try to get in front of him or something like that.
Well, he wants Jake to come to him. If the kid's dead, he doesn't...
That's the thing. Jake was giving up until a whole fucking whale saw that my friend has a gun to his head.
Right, but Jake was
intervened.
But Jake was also on the way to that ship until a whale came in and intervened.
That's what I mean.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Jake was ready to give up, and then when the whale hit, he comes charging at them like he's about to attack. Your leverage on those kids are still there. If you're not serious about what you're going to do, then you can't get Jake to back up.
So you think the main bad guy should have ignored the giant whale killing everybody and focused on the kids?
Absolutely not. But if he had time to shoot at Jake, he had time to let Jake know. If you step one more, if you come even closer than that, I'm killing the kids. Sully didn't care, and neither did he. He just started shooting as soon as the whale got on top of the ship. I thought that was really funny because it's like he still had the leverage. It's not like he didn't have it. It's the fact that he ignored the leverage and just started attacking. That was funny to me because I'm like, you still have him on comm. You can tell him right now, if I see you charging, as soon as you even think.
But did you see that he was charging, or is it more like they were immediately distracted by the giant whale on the ship and didn't see him charging?
No, they did because they turned around and started shooting at the people that were charging. They did not start shooting at
them. But I mean, what's the ultimate point here, though? Like, he should have shot the kids?
No, is that the fact that the stuff that he was saying wasn't relevant. It felt like his bluff was already being called before he even said he was doing it.
Well, I mean, he won. Jake was about to give up.
Yeah.
Right, and like I said,
There's no whale there, he won.
Until the Deus Ex Machina showed up and decided that, okay, well, this is the reason, this is how Jake gets out of that. And it was so obvious that this is what they're doing to make sure that Jake is going to get his way into the kids for the second time. The third time was just, they were like, the ship was on fire and everything was falling apart. And he has one kid with him, and he leaves this loose end right there that he should just be like, okay, let me take out this kid, and now I have one. So he knows that I'm serious, that I'm the real bad guy.
I don't know. I feel like after the terrifying ass like Vietnam scene where they're just like murdering their family pets and stuff like that. They're murdering their companions and shit, and it's like, shoot that thing. And it's like, this thing that's like connected. Like this guy's a bad guy.
Yeah.
If as long as he has the kids under control, he has Jake under control. If he kills him, he does not have control of Jake. So let's say Jake goes in there and tries to do some stuff, and then hey, just stop doing that. And then Jake's okay. Well, he's got to back down.
He only needed one kid. He only needed one.
But he's not a child killer.
Is he?
He's a Marine. He's not. He's not a maniac child killer.
I think the better question is what does this do in service to the plot?
Yeah, no, exactly.
He should have murdered. He should have murdered another kid.
A child. He's not a child murderer.
Like what does that do to further the storytelling other than just like bad guy's really bad?
No, well, that's the thing is that if you have a bad guy that's as weak as a character development as what they set him up to be.
I mean, spoiler, he does kill one of his kids.
He literally does.
Right. Well, I think one of the people that were shooting at, I don't even know if it was him specifically.
He does. And he taunts him with it too and says, I will shoot him. I've already killed one of them.
Right. So if he's so hardcore and he's so cold, why not just do that anyway?
You just want him to kill kids?
No, I don't want him to kill kids. I want to see how serious he is as a bad guy. How is it that this
I mean, it's Avatar, not a fucking Quentin Tarantino film.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
And I mean, the scene that came before it was pretty horrifying.
I get
the drive on the
when the kid passed. Yeah, obviously when the kid.
When
passed
and the only thing that changes his mind is obviously his son.
Yeah.
And he realizes, maybe we should shoot the chieftain mother in the face.
Well, no, I don't want that.
And even the fucking other grunt guy is like, boss, we still doing this? We offing her? And he's like, torch the houses, and he does something else. He like fuck their settlement up. Don't fucking murder her.
Which is why I see the character already having an arc for the next season.
Sure, I mean, once again, they do it 6 times in the movie.
Yeah,
where he like changes his motivations and actions because his son is there.
It's one of those things where you're like, okay, I know where they're going with this. Okay, keep it moving because you already know where they're going with the character. He's not going to do anything. He's going to be a good guy. Let's have the character do his arc.
But how do you know? Maybe
I guarantee you
know what? But how do you know that Jake Sully doesn't become a bad guy and he becomes a good guy?
Oh,
it won't be Jake. It'll be his wife. They're already kind of like
where she's not having it.
They're already teetering on the edge of his wife, like kind of sinking into the abyss.
Yeah. And that is a character arc that I would like to see. But with this character,
so you just want really dark shit.
Yeah, he just
you want
the
bad guy to murder more kids. You want his wife to go into a dark place.
I don't want it to be the same stuff that we already see, just exactly how you saw it with Last of Us, because you saw what the character was going to do before he did it. Because you already know how the
Steve,
Tropes does that.
I'm going to tell you this right now.
It's so funny.
Do not see Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, really? Okay. All right.
If you don't like tropey stuff, do not watch Top Gun Maverick.
There you go.
The most, everything that happens in the movie is beat for beat, tropey shit.
Tropey stuff that they
But it's very well executed. Very well done.
Well, here's the thing. This is why you guys like it, because Avatar is tropey shit well done.
It's a simple story that follows a simple beat, a simple path, relatively well done.
Yeah.
And that's all of James Cameron's movies. Like you can call it from the beginning to the end.
I think I was thinking more and more about this, and
unfortunately for me, that's not enough.
Because then you can get the opposite, and you can get Christopher Nolan, who's kind of like weird, and my movie's got to be backwards,
or you get like
you can't
Tenet.
Understand shit and stuff like that.
Well, with Christopher Nolan stuff, I mean, you knew that he couldn't kill off any of the characters, so you know nothing was going to happen with them anyway.
He didn't kill off a character.
Main characters,
Tenet.
Justice League.
Tenet, yes.
Or not Justice League. We're talking Christopher Nolan.
Oh, okay, you're talking about Tenet. Okay, never mind. No, I thought you were talking about. Okay, I thought you were talking about like
Tenet and all his movies where he's not doing a comic book movie where he's being
ominous
Christopher Nolan.
Well,
and that's the thing is that I tend to enjoy movies that don't follow the same plot line as everything else. So that's just me.
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing I did like about the movie in general is I kind of realized it, like, more and more afterwards, that it's like, it doesn't just have quiet moments. It has moments of just fixation on the atmosphere.
Do you mean these the planet Earth moments?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's a very Ghibli-esque thing where it's like, we're just... Because, like, okay, like in Spirited Away, like, we're just gonna have scenes of Chihiro just working in the bathhouse.
Yeah,
we're just gonna we're gonna spend 20 minutes.
It's world building shit.
We're just gonna have 20 minutes of just how does the world function.
Yeah, how does the bathhouse function? Where's like the upper decks, the bottom decks, the lower decks? And
anyone else would cut that out. Yeah. Like anyone else in Hollywood would cut that out. In Mononoke, there's a scene where he goes to help the women work the bellows. Yeah, the bellows also goes to meet the people of the disease, the lepers. The lepers, and that's a little bit of like character building for Eboshi. And then like after that, there's a part where he's eating when he's talking with the men workers, and he goes and helps the women workers work the bellows. And there's just like this scene of like, how does Irontown function? Yes, and it's just we're just gonna spend a chunk of this movie just showing how this giant colony fortress operates and works. And all of Jim's movies kind of do that, you know to a degree.
Tropey as hell. It was the son beating up the other kids, and the other kids like, oh no, we're cool, man. Hey, cool, let's go to this spot right here. Oh yeah, and getting him nearly killed. That's been done in a lot of movies. Yes, it's been, and I'm seeing this. You can see that happening. Yeah. Holy shit, that's just been done. And then the kid comes back, and they're like, how did he come back? He's so badass. That's been done so many times. You know what was like? That's like beat for beat.
You know what's really impressive though is the cinematography. Yeah. Of the spatial awareness of where they're going. Yeah. What's happening there, and then when he's coming back. Three Rock. Yeah. And to the Three Brothers Rock. There's you get a real sense of place. Yeah. There and like the scope of maybe it's the 3D glasses of like. Oh yeah. The ocean. This place spatially looks much different than it's not just people just in islands. Water. Like when you go to Three Brothers Rock, the water is like deep blue, so it's like it's not coral reef. It's not the light blue stuff of where they live and stuff like that. So there's this, and then just where the camera's placed and how stuff is done. Even in Whale Vision. There's a really good sense of like scope and placement and choreography.
So hopefully in the comments someone can like let me know what other movies, but it's been done so many times. And then when the kid gets back, the kid's like, "Oh no, man, it was an accident," or "Oh no, it wasn't." I'm like, I'm in my head, I'm like, my God, I've seen this 50,000 times in the movie.
No, I think that works just because it's a coming of age part. Yeah, it is. And so the kids don't know that. Yeah. So when it's happening to those kids. You don't like it, to you. It's like because as an adult, you're like, oh yeah, obviously he's gonna.
No, but I've seen that in so many other movies.
Since he's telling the story through the eyes of a kid, it's like the kid is gonna fall for it 100%.
There is a bit of a weirdness I thought when like the first like he's talking to the whale to like get the thing out of his arm, and then he's like, well, why did you or you know actually it's when he goes back to him and he's like, well, why did you get banished? And like there's a subtitle. Says, the whale's like, it's too painful. Yeah. And I'm like, did the whale just fucking talk? Yeah.
That's when we learned that, like, what the hell? Wait a minute. So this movie sets up something different than the first one, where it's like, there are animals, right? And you make connections with the animals, but they are animals. They're like horses, they're giant dragons, like they are animals. However, in this one, and ultimately, like, you could be teetering on what we understand about actual fucking whales and stuff in real life. But James Cameron is a huge environmentalist, so they promote the fact that, yes, you can USB connect to God on this planet and literally have a direct connection. It is a physical, tangible thing. God is actually legit there. And in this one, it's more like, yes, it isn't just the blue people that have sentience. No, like these whales are smarter, they're more emotional, they're capable of more than humans.
I think that the only people that they can talk to are the whales. I don't think it's any other animal on the planet.
No. And that's the thing, yeah. Like the whales,
Are the
as
only
far as
other
we
ones
know, because we've only seen 2 biomes. Like that's the nice part is that it isn't like a Star Wars planet, which is just like, the whole planet's fucking dirt.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. No, this is just like one spot where they literally communicate to this like tribe of whales.
Which is kind of weird to me because I'm thinking, oh, is it gonna be like the other Avatar, the Fire Nation, the Water Nation, the Earth Nation?
We've seen them in the first movie.
Right, which is crazy. So are they going to have different? Because you have, they're the forest people. Oh, they're the water people. Do they have mountain people? You know what I mean? Do they have desert people?
We know. We've seen a lot of them.
There's way more going on. The fact that I'm like, there's more than one sentient like species on the planet.
Yes, and that's the interesting part is that like some of their animals that are on the planet actually are smarter than the people. They just communicate in like animal fucking language, but they understand sign language and shit.
And to me, that's what I always liked about this movie. This movie's like, oh yeah, what if it's just a planet? It never just got technology, and technology
is biological.
Right?
That's what's always been. That to me is like the most. Obviously, like, it's just Dances with Wolves. I'm like, well, it doesn't involve you fucking USB connecting to a biological planet where you are practically connected by biological Wi-Fi to their deity and God and connect to memories and shit, which the animals also can do the same shit.
Like, if the planet was like billions of years, but, we didn't develop cars. We just constantly communicated with nature. So, like, maybe, like, if humans, like, lived another, 5 million years or something like that, and maybe whales too. Like they all like started becoming.
It's
kind of cool.
They'd definitely be like, it's getting a little free willy here, with.
But that's what James.
The whales can talk and shit like that. Like that was kind of like, to me that was a little crazy. Like, wait, the whales are sentient or whatever. It is. There have been scientific like studies into seeing if are whales talking to each other.
But imagine like,
and is it really outside of a possibility? It's honestly not.
Imagine like a million years from now, whales continue to like
even in our current society, we know dolphins communicate with each other, and they actually
dolphins are crazy.
Right. Well, they're speaking of like, do whales communicate verbally? Is the weird noises whales making? Is it language or is it just noises? Well, because we have recordings of orcas, which are not whales, which are dolphins, but like orcas and other whales, like with calves, and then like they're doing their communication, and then like the mom gets annoyed and her voice raises.
So it's not about the fact that they are communicating; it's about the fact of how they're communicating. You know what I mean?
This movie basically goes the step further that people in the 90s maybe like hypothesized that possibly whales are doing some light form of verbal. They're not.
In this movie they are because they have.
But in this movie they are.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting. The whales have a hierarchy. They decided to not kill. One of the whales killed, so they banished him. Yeah. So did they have like a court or something like that? And they all got together and said,
"Okay, they travel in pods,
right?" So I mean,
they travel in pods. So I'm assuming it's basically just like
get out.
How whales are here. They just
if that was the case, why didn't that particular whale see fit to plead his case? Like he just said, "Yeah, okay, cool, I'm done." It's like, yo, these people, I have this giant thing in my arm.
He says he feels responsible for leading the the whales to their death.
His guilt.
Oh, okay, so
he's guilt.
Like he says his feelings. I deserve it.
I got you.
I led them to their death.
Okay, I got you.
A whale has a redemption arc in this movie.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
That's his movie. Yeah.
I think honestly the most unrealistic thing is the fact that shit was worth $80 million.
Yeah. So the most, to be honest, outside of the brain,
it didn't seem
the frame rate changing did take me out a couple times. The thing that took me out of the movie the most completely was the fact that they call the brain juice from the whales that is being mined by evil humans Amrita. And I'm like, what? So I've played Neo, and I'm immediately like, fucking Amrita. Like, wait a minute. So it's obviously like Asian culture influenced, like gold type of thing, right?
Yeah. And
the Amrita is the unobtainium of the movie, but it cures human aging. They don't really go much into it. The guy just like
stops it dead.
Yeah, the guy just like pulls it out, and he's like, so this cures human aging. Like,
cool.
Like just stops it.
Yeah.
And it's worth $80 million a tube.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's it?
That's it?
What was another movie that
Jurassic Park, motherfucker.
Yeah,
Jurassic Park 2.
Movie that did that? I know there's another movie that
Suddenly it's like, here's this giant bioweapon dinosaur fused of 16 fucking dinosaurs. The opening bid is $2 million. And I'm like, What?
Immediately takes him out.
What? Yeah, so for some reason, a lot of movies have been undervaluing the price of like commodities in these films for some reason.
Unless they have a shit ton of them already on Earth.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the only like,
And I don't. And it's
warehouse full of them.
And I'm like, this thing is only $80 million. I'm thinking at least like $250 million.
It would have to be billions. You have to fly to another fucking planet to get it.
Yeah, seriously.
And then,
across the galaxy, baby.
across the
Who
galaxy,
knows?
and then fight a fucking whale
that's almost impossible, as we've
and
seen.
have a team, and it's $80 million.
I'm telling you,
I'm sorry, that should be
your big ship costs billions of
I'm
dollars.
telling you, everything they're paying for just to do this is more than $80 million.
Yeah. The ship they had was like billions of dollars.
There's some weird economics there.
Yeah, that should be like billions. And it stops.
One thing in the movie that really took me out.
Yeah, and it stops aging.
We could chalk it up to their economy changed drastically when they realized
maybe
when humanity realized they were not going to survive.
Yeah.
So maybe something. So we can chalk it up to that. Whatever.
You can kind of write it off that way, but
Whatever.
just that number being thrown out was just kind of like
it throws us off because we're in a different time.
Immediately, because we went on
80 million. That's it.
all of us thought that
This movie cost 4 times that.
Yes,
Like,
exactly. And that's the weird part where it's like that's like a third of the marketing budget, dude. Like, what the fuck are we talking?
So, but my thing with that is, the question is, are they going to go somewhere with that? Is that going to be a major plot point?
I
of the
think
next
so
one?
because I think it's going to be a very Elysium.
If he said like $80 million a drop, like okay, like
he said
and I think it more just boils down to the fact that like this planet has everything humans need. We have an energy resource that's almost unlimited and absolutely fucking incredible to get us from the stars to stars.
Yeah.
We have a resources that literally stops the aging of our dying species.
Yeah.
And the planet itself is practically harborable in a way that every human on the planet should be moving here to, and we now have a city that's being built by little tiny robots, which was kind of cool that like these robots can build a city
within 3
in like 3 days. It's like holy shit, like these little dudes just doing all this shit all the time. Like this is some neat shit. This is James Cameron future tech. So they're just setting up for the fact that there's more people coming.
I think
there's going to be more people coming in the future.
I think the M read is going to be for the wealthy elites.
Yeah,
because.
Do you think he's gonna stick some Alita into this because it's his favorite anime? I think he will. He probably will.
Watch the character literally be.
I mean, again, we're going up to at least 5 possibly. So my guess is that they're like, because he's never been shy about this film is vehemently anti-military.
Yes, and so dude, did you fight terror with terror shit in the first movie? Like literal American flag, like not literal stars and stripes, but like it is built into. There's like shade. There's the big thing with all like the stars. It's like, oh my god, like. And that's the way Cameron's always been. He always makes his bad guys either military or corporate. Yeah. Or he always makes them higher levels of like police or like, well, you know what I mean, like higher levels above regular people because he comes from like I'm a Joe Schmo kind of trucker.
But here's the thing too, like in that movie, I was legit, like I said earlier, I was legit cheering when humans were getting killed. I'm like,
authority
fuck
figures.
those guys, like all these humans, because he shows them just doing bad shit.
And not every
right?
human is bad. Like you can tell that the what's it called, the marine biologist fucking hates the fact that this is his
one
job.
guy, but everyone out there is like, let's go get this stuff. Yeah, good.
Oh yeah.
All right, cool. Let's get them. And they're like, damn, they're just fucking.
But at the same time, when you look at the motivation of the captain, what can you do? Humanity's done for. We have to go to a new planet.
Well, but like not
so
the
it's
boat
like,
captain.
And I mean, it's like everything they're doing is just mimicking what whaling has done. Moby Dick exists as a book for a reason.
That's what I told Simmons. I think he's coming back as Ahab. I think he's surviving. And he's gonna be
really?
I'm
like, I don't know how that guy.
I think he's coming back as Ahab. You didn't show him die. He's gonna come back in the next film. It was one arm and like I'm gonna fucking blow people. Fucking whales.
It was very cute that they had to show that the whale got his revenge.
Yeah.
Because
by disarming him.
It's Ahab.
Because
I didn't even put that together because he took off his arm.
Yeah.
The whale got his arm.
And he's going to come back like this in the next movie.
Again, it's the intelligence of the whale, or was it the fact that the whale was just doing that and it happened to happen that way?
I mean, he wrapped the coil around the ship and just smashed it.
So he had no idea that was going to get him in that type of way.
He just knew he was going to
It's karma.
It was a karma moment, which was kind of cool.
I think he's coming back as Ahab.
I mean, I was like, that's pushing the PG-13 a bit there.
That was kind of surprising.
Like,
there's a decapitation on it. Well, there's a dismemberment, and there's also an F-bomb drop.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
From Spider,
getting
which I
away
thought
from
was a
some-
good F-bomb drop.
it was actually a good F-bomb drop, yeah.
Well, the question is, how many? I think you need a multiple F-bombs to become R.
You get one in
Yeah,
PG-13.
Oh, really? Okay. Well,
You get one,
and it really depends-
non-sexual fuck.
Yeah, and it really depends on the rest of the film and what's in it already. And they say shit a lot in this movie.
Yeah.
So I'm already like, I'm kind of surprised he got away with it because he's fucking Jim Steen's
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
The last part of this movie is fucking crazy to me because it's like the climactic end of Avatar 1's also really good, where it's like, you know, they're building and they're getting ready and they're preparing and they're like, okay, so we're outnumbered, but here's how we take advantage of all like the rocks and the electromagnetic, like all this bullshit, right?
Yeah. We fight here.
In this one, that doesn't happen.
No.
The ending climax of this movie just naturally sort of occurs, and you're like, "Are we in the final battle?"
Yeah.
Oh shit! I think this is, and then it ramps up, and then it ramps up again, and then the whale jumps, and then they do this, and then the ship's going down, and there's a fist fight. And I'm like, "Fucking Jesus, dude!" Like 45 minutes, I'm like, "Let me fucking breathe, Jim."
Oh yeah, that was a hell of a scene. And you know what's funny? Towards the end, you hear there's some Terminator music. You hear king, 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 king.
Yeah.
You hear a Avatar version of the Terminator.
Yeah, there's some nods. Like there
was a lot.
There's Titanic references. There's like Abyss references where the characters are about to drown and they're like literally taking their last breaths.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, this is just a scene from Abyss.
Yeah, he just mixes it all in.
There's Terminator stuff. There's Alien stuff because of obviously all the family references. But yeah, like I was blown away by how much shit is happening with so many characters in this ending, and I'm not confused. Like I'm not horribly confused about what's happening where. The only weird part of it is that the sisters get tied up again.
Yes.
And they have to like make a reference to it. It's almost like, okay, they wrote themselves into a corner here at some point where they need characters to be in a certain spot. And I can only imagine seeing the fucking like diagram of like how and where do all, because I've done that shit with the system. It's a fucking nightmare to realize where a character is what. I'm fucked. I'm so fucked.
So you know what? Fuck it. Just have them tied up again. Just do that.
Yeah, and then it's like just have to make a joke about it. They're tied up again, and people will forget about it. And it's like, yeah, I guess so.
Oh, I didn't forget. But I want to say, where do you think they're going with the magical sister, the one that's actually?
Oh yeah, no, she's going to be the one.
So she's Awa. She just is.
Yeah.
She's like.
That's why she's
Gaia.
She literally is Gaia.
Yeah, that's why she had a problem connecting, because she's like just literally connecting with herself, basically.
Yes.
You know, it's just like
so she's So the weird part about it is that she goes down and has a vision with her mother, right?
Yeah.
With Grace from the first movie,
right.
And she's like literally having a conversation, and as something comes to a head in the conversation, there's like a realization. I forget what the realization is. But she's essentially taken away. She gets horribly like horrified by something.
Yeah, and
Grace gets sucked away, terrified of something as well, like into this like blackness or something.
Yeah.
And it goes back to her in real life, and she's literally seizing, about to die under the water.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's something horrifying in Awa that's beyond the understanding of even the memories of the people and the people accessing it. There's something like weird and creepy going on inside the planet that we do not know about as the audience. So I'm like, that was the one thing that was like left off that was specifically teased that we have no fucking clue.
Yeah.
That was like specific like sequel bait shit. And I'm like, that's weird, because everything we hear about, like, you connect to the planet, it's wonderful, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, like, yeah, the planet's connected.
My guess would be that it has something to do with because what Awa like physically technically is like a giant massive neurological network.
It's RE8 shit.
You know,
Resident Evil 7 and 8
planet
shit.
is sentient.
Right.
And I wouldn't necessarily call it God. I would just say it's the planet.
It is their deity.
It's their deity.
It is the planet. The planet is alive, and you kind of get that.
I think the humans might be drilling into like its central like core
nervous system. Yeah.
So it's like something's killing me or whatever.
It's defending itself, pretty much.
Well, the interesting thing is that my only fear for this movie is that, again, like I think the cringiest part for me was near the very beginning when he almost gives a verbatim speech of, you're not in Kansas anymore. And then he's just like, you can't kill a Marine. You sent us to hell. We'll just,
we'll meet you there.
We'll meet you there. Yeah, let's not kill Jake. She's like, yeah. And there's like this we're gonna get him.
Yeah.
like
angry gorillas.
She's like, so like that was a little cringy there. My only fear is that
hoorah. Yeah, so that
if I'm just thinking of this from like a sort of like logical real world perspective. What Grace was trying to tell Selfridge in the first movie was just like, can you imagine like the fucking scientific advancements you could have by having a
by not digging this shit up.
Right, but I mean, like, if you could harness the power of a neural network that was as insane as what they're proposing on Pandora with Awa, that's like insanity shit.
Yeah,
that's like, again, that's leading to more, even like something more beyond human, transhumanism. Like even like hive mind, like you're talking about supercomputers that could calculate fucking the universe, kind of thing. Like there's a lot of
we don't have to travel anymore from Earth to here. We could just figure out how to skip that type.
Yeah, shit. Like there's so much
beyond the beyond.
Well, there's so much you could do scientifically with the idea of what Awa on Pandora is. Mm-hmm. And part of me is just like, I hope they don't in the sequels do this thing where they're just like, we need to breathe on this planet, so just fucking torch it so we can put some atmospheric processors up. Like, I'm like, yes, I get it, but I'm like, man, if you're going to travel all that way, 5 years to Alpha Centauri, and you know there's some fucking insanity.
Are you asking for the comically evil humans to grow a brain? And you know what? They had it. They had it with the science team in the first one, and they fucking dropped it, and because it didn't them no
Part
good.
of me I want
There's still a science team there. There's still a science team. You remember
they're gonna hack into the planet.
They went to save the girl after she had the seizure. So there was a.
Oh no, those are the people that are left behind that were on the side. We're talking about
there were science guys.
Yeah, no. I mean, but those are guys that are ex like RDA for the cause of like we're actually on the blue people side because people fucking humans fucking suck.
My only hope is that there's a little bit more
exploration into that shit.
I don't want to even necessarily say conflict, but I'm hoping there's more. Because I feel like
you want to get more into the science of the planet type shit.
I do want to get more of that. I want to get into more. I'm actually really curious to see how they handle humans coming in from Earth, rather than just because in this movie they're just sort of like they're in the background.
Well, everyone's working.
Yeah, this is still the military part of the invasion.
Like they're in the background,
the
just building, right? Right. Yeah. So civilians aren't here, but I'm kind of like I want to see where this anti-age like age freezing thing goes. I want to because
that's what I said.
I'm imagining this is going to go to like some wealthy elite class.
Yeah.
I'm also imagining that because my brain is going to, what if the humans are trying to turn Awa into a hive mind for themselves? What if they're just trying to basically hijack Awa, like something neural network for themselves?
Yeah.
Basically make like a giant mother brain biological computer kind of thing. And I'm wondering where's the scientific aspect of that going to possibly play in. And I hope it's not just we're just digging holes. We're just going to dig right through it and just cut all snip it and build some atmospheric processors. And then Jake Sully comes in, and he has to blow it up, and that's kind of it.
I do see going forward that they are going to introduce different antagonists than just Quaritch.
Oh yeah, because I mean, like
we're absolutely going to get our Emperor character.
Yeah,
like that's eventually going to come in and actually know that shit about like all the science of the planet because they have all that. Yeah. Right, they know all of that. They're not just willingly ignoring.
Well, that's how they're able to make avatars is because they know exactly how to function and everything like that.
It's almost going to be like Final Fantasy VII. A little bit like where they're like. They kind of know what's going on.
Oh, you mean? Oh, I see what you mean. Where it's like Quaritch right now is the president.
Yes.
Right, and then, but as soon as they figure shit out, that's not actually the problem. The problem is what's beyond that. Yes. The problem is Sephiroth. The problem is like fucking Genova, like all the other shit. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Like they definitely, and once again, like the same thing with Star Wars. Like, oh, Darth Vader's the bad guy, and then you get a little teaser. Like, no, Darth Vader's not actually the bad guy. There's guys that are actually above him.
It's gonna be President of Earth.
There's gonna be like, there's gonna be some crazy like some crazy anti-aging dickhead.
No. Or they say they do the thing. It's like, you know what? To be a little to really settle this planet, we have to destroy that neural network. Yeah. But then they do, like, but it probably won't happen. Like they destroy the neural network, the whole planet is destroyed, and it's just like it's almost like if in Final Fantasy VII they just keep digging for that shit. It just ends up destroying the planet. That they destroy the neural network, it's just going to destroy the whole fucking planet.
I find it weird about how many movies I really dig the environmentalism take on it all. Of like, this science fiction stuff where, because obviously, like, I like James Cameron movies, and they're all environmental movies. Like, every fucking one of his movies
this one,
is tree hugging shit.
He really, and no pun intended, he really dived deep into the water aspect of this in this water. And like you said, he loves to do marine
he's been to the bottom of the Mariana Trench.
Yeah, so like you could tell this is his movie. Only for that alone, he's focused so much on the deep blue sea and the underwater aspect and understanding everything that's in the water. He's like, we're seeing his adventures of what he's going through, and he's showing us, hey, this is what I saw, and now I'm showing you in the most realistic way I can possibly imagine. So that is what I got from this movie. Is that
I feel like the only one of his films that aren't like obviously environmentalism is True Lies, because even Titanic is like mankind going beyond their limits, maybe going too big, too like obviously, and what happens? How does the Titanic sink? The fucking iceberg, the nature took you down, bro. The Abyss is the same thing where it's like we don't know exactly what's going on in deep oceans. What if there was a fucking whole civilization down there?
Dude,
Terminator is literally that. Terminator is about like AI taking over, blowing everything the fuck up. We created it. What the fuck are we doing? Everything is like, all of Jim's movies are humans doing dumb shit. Humanity bad. Like we need to stop this. And all of his movies come with like a heavy tone message. Like somebody has a great fucking quote about James Cameron movies where it's like, I don't put subtlety in my movies. I'm not a bitch. Like something like that. I don't put any subtlety in my characters in movies. I'm not a bitch. Like it just puts it right at the front of the whole goddamn film. Every single one of his movies. So I don't know. It's like I kind of appreciate it. Like, and he's even said this where it's like, Avatar has always been and the sequels, a direct line to get this into more eyes and more people while also creating an entertaining franchise, but creating environmentally aware people that this is our fucking planet. Like, this is the whole point. Like, we are just emulating the same shit that has happened on our planet. Yeah. And it is dying. That's the whole point.
I think this is not a movie that's going to convince anyone who's not on like a list a little bit on board or curious. Like if you did not like the first movie, you're against this whole franchise, this is not going to convince you otherwise.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's definitely, even if you didn't like the first movie, I think it's still worth seeing because of the spectacle. Yeah. Which was the reason the first movie was worth seeing too.
I don't know if it's going to change anyone's mind.
No, probably not.
About it one way or the other. I honestly, as much of a blockbuster it is, I would actually say this isn't really a movie for everyone because this is a movie that fucking loves
nature.
It loves indulging on itself and loves taking the time to just.
This is why I said that this feels like James Cameron's Princess Mononoke. Yeah. Because in a lot of Studio Ghibli and Hayao Miyazaki's films, he loves that shit. He loves to embellish and go in on nature and let these moments sit. And it's like, people find it fucking boring. Yeah. People are like, goddamn.
I can actually see the studio execs telling him like, hey, you need to shorten. He's telling him to go fuck off.
Literally saying fuck off.
I could literally see those points in the movie where it's like, maybe he could cut here, maybe he could cut here. Maybe I could see that.
They told him in the first movie to cut out the flying shit. Oh yeah, shorten the time. And he's just like, and
the same thing he said now. Fuck off.
And like it turned out to be the most beloved part of the movie.
You know where he cut it? It was the credits. The credits were the fastest credits I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, the credits were
left and it came back and it was over.
Yeah, it was over.
Yeah. The credits weren't nearly as long as Marvel credits for some reason. What the fuck was that about?
Because they had to get ready for the next movie.
Did the credits move that quick? Or was it just a shorter credit list than a Marvel
I literally
movie?
went to go to the bathroom and it was like real quick and the credits were done. The theater was almost empty.
Yeah, that's weird.
I don't know the legality of it. Isn't it
I think it's just
you
absolutely have to. All I'm saying is that like, how does this have a tighter knit crew than Marvel films? Yeah. Because like fucking Spider-Man Homecoming's credits went on for like 7 goddamn minutes.
That's what I'm talking about, the legality. I mean, it's obvious that
people definitely don't get credited.
Right. It's obvious that some people got cut out of those credits.
But on the other hand, hand,
Because if that were the case, it would have scrolled like.
On the other hand,
like,
too,
super fast.
Marvel movies are made so quickly and through so many different independent visual effects houses. So they actually, it's the Ubisoft and Call of Duty method of making a film.
Yeah, there's actually
they come out every year, so they have to put 1,000 fucking people on the project.
So when the credits are rolling, they just credit the department as opposed to the
No. What we're saying is that there's actually less people that worked on this movie than Marvel
there might have been less people overall working on the movie because they worked on it for forever.
Yeah.
Whereas Marvel movies and like Ubisoft and Activision games, they have to literally throw 1,000 people at a project so that they can have one every single year. Every single year. And in Marvel movies, you're getting 2 to 3 Marvel movies a year, so they have to throw as many fucking human bodies at those movies as they can.
But even then, some like standalone movies, like let's say Pulp Fiction, had like a longer credit scene than this. This was insane.
I'd be very surprised if it did.
Yeah, no.
Those are very short. Old 90, just go back and look at old 90s movies and 80s movies credits.
We have to check the time and the amount of people that were actually there on the credits. Like the amount of time it took for it to start to end, and check out some of the older movies that are standalone movies, and check it from start to end.
Yeah.
But then you have to decide, okay, how many people are in the credits at the same time? You know what I mean? Like how many people or how many names are in this?
Right.
So that's also a factor as well. All I'm saying is that like it might not be Pulp Fiction. I'm just using an analogy. It could be anything that like one of these older movies that are standalone that have a way longer credit scene. And you're wondering,
any Marvel movie.
Yeah. Well, Simmons is saying it's the Marvel movies are specifically because of the fact that there's so many people being thrown at.
Sure.
But these standalone movies, I mean, how many people are being thrown at these standalone movies? Just.
I mean, it kind of shows too, like with Jesus Christ. If you really think about it, I shit on it too hard because I enjoyed the movie, but Jesus Christ, like the final battle in Wakanda Forever is almost the exact same final battle in this movie, and Avatar 2 made Wakanda Forever look like fucking amateur hour with their big battle on the boat. In the middle of the ocean.
Shit, that's right. It's like the same fucking conclusion.
It's the same fucking thing. Big battle
like
on a boat.
Fight on a boat
in the middle of the day, with the warring tribes and Jesus Christ. Like this movie fucking annihilated that
weird.
cinematography wise.
Because you can barely see. They just say everything in.
It was even in the daytime. It's hard.
But I mean,
to
like
see.
in the daytime, at the very end, where like they're on the boat, like just trying to. Oh my god! Like
trying to see if they talk about any of them, like the credits being fast.
So one thing I do appreciate is that, at least in this movie, they had the balls to kill off what is essentially a main character.
Yeah.
Right? They actually killed...
I did not see that one.
I didn't see that shit coming. I mean, I'm kind of unfortunate that it sort of happens in the same way as Grace getting killed in the first movie, which is like, I feel like they could have done it better. Like, they could have conveniently happened quicker, but I mean, they have guns and they're going to get shot.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like... wow, they're not really going to kill this character, are they? They're not going to fucking do that. And then there's like going to be someone's going to come in, Kiri's going to come in and save him or something like that, and it doesn't happen. He dies. I'm like, holy shit.
About it, like, you know what? I was like, yeah, he's gonna die because here's the thing.
Oh, when you think about it, the flags are all there.
All there. Yeah.
Once it happens.
He was a perfect kid.
Because it's about the younger brother. And
yes.
His brother's like, yo, you're
rebellious younger brother.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, you're bad. You're making it. It's always a younger brother. The young brother has to and then it's almost a movie about the younger brother.
Yeah, it was the whole point.
The whole time. The whole movie.
The whole point was that the father had to. It's literally a Kratos moment where the father finally sees the kid.
It's also a teaching moment for Jake because he is Jake. Right, he's doing everything his father wants him to do, and he gets killed because of it. He's literally killed because of it. So then that pretty much sets up Jake for the final moment in the movie that, like, no, we can't run from these motherfuckers anymore. And that's like the whole point of it. Like the whole point of the film is that Jake has to learn that there is no running from this. Even if we try to stop everything, there is no running from this. Like, even if you've seen how much destruction they can cause, they have to be stopped. And that's the lesson that Jake has to learn when he's got essentially all of his cowardice, where he's trying to, he's cowardly because he wants to protect his family. He doesn't want his wife. He knows we're gonna fucking die.
Right.
But
I think, because his whole point was...
once his son dies, he realizes that.
Yeah, because he says, like, well, that was the whole point, because even at the beginning of the movie, he says that, I don't know what's ahead with the military, but all I know is that I can protect my family.
Yes.
That's what he says to her. So his whole mindset is that after the kid dies, he's like, I can't protect my family.
Yeah.
I need to... We have to go after the evil military bad guy man. So that makes sense. It makes sense. I do like the fact that this movie is referencing some of the Neolithic tribes of Africa that you've noticed from some of the makeup and the clothing that the characters have.
Yeah.
Some of the tribes in South Sudan have the exact same fucking
the tattoo
characteristics
stuff?
and stuff like that.
Well,
Yes.
Well, the tattoos were. There was more. It was Maori. Well, yeah,
Yes,
no,
this
I'm
is,
talking, that's the forest tribe. I'm talking about the water tribe. The water tribe.
the water tribe is
was
completely
Maori.
Maori
Yeah,
inspired.
yeah.
Well, I'm like at first, sure, and then they start doing hakas, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
they start doing-
Yeah. They literally were taking from the Maui at that point, and I like the fact that they're showing off the culture of a completely different tribe that most of us don't really even know about or even understand. It's a good way to bring it to light without trying to force it. You know what I mean? It's a good way to kind of show it off without people really understanding what it is and kind of introducing them to that particular side of the culture. It's like a nomadic tribe from.
And I also like that it's A, they're evolved a little differently, but B, they're very similar. They're similar enough, and it's like, okay, so it's not just the Na'vi everywhere on this planet all act the same.
And the first movie, that's what you have in your mind. You think that, this is them, the entire planet.
Yeah.
But now this movie is like, okay, well, they have water people. We don't know what other versions are. And like I was saying, it could be,
desert. It could be desert.
it could be like the other Avatar, like where they have all these different factions and different.
Right, and I know that was something that was sort of teased or talked about, was that John Landau or James Cameron said in an interview how a lot of sci-fi movies tend to turn the planet into one thing.
Big desert place, yeah.
The desert planet, the snow planet,
Yeah, 100%.
Where it's like, I want to show that Pandora has different biomes. Well, we're going to see different environments, different tribes, different.
Well, here's the thing.
cultures. So that's actually kind of interesting.
Just like Earth.
I'm just about to say that. Literally, how the Portuguese and how the Europeans and the British, how they saw all of these other tribes and all of these other cultures. They go to America and they see all the natives. They don't really see them as individuals. They see them as one group. So they name them as Indian. You go you go to Africa, you don't see all these different tribes and you don't see all these different dialects and stuff like that.
I mean, the movie's one character short of them being named Columbus.
Yeah, really, pretty much.
Literally.
Yeah, I mean, you go to Africa, you have literally
Subtleties
the
for
tallest,
bitches.
You have literally the tallest people in the world. You have some of the shortest people. You have the shortest people in the world out there, and so many different ethnic backgrounds and so many different cultures. Mm-hmm. They didn't see that. They just saw black. And so they go out there and it's like, okay, these are these people. We'll name them that. And then we'll continue exploring all the other places and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So with this is exactly what they're doing. They only see them as that. And James Cameron is trying to show us that there's differences in these particular tribes, just like they were making fun of their tails and stuff like that.
Right, and then
what's going on
sea people are turquoise instead of blue.
Right, and they're a lot lighter. They have fin type of hands.
He did his imaginary research.
Right.
Yeah. Well, okay, so that's Jim's thing. Is that any fake bullshit in my movies has to make sense,
and it does.
It can't just be that way because it looks cool.
That's why I like the film, because even in the parts where you're just it was just exploring and looking at stuff. I'm like, oh man, this is kind of the lore.
You see it when any of the mechs come in.
Yes.
When any mech that is in any James Cameron movie, immediately that makes perfect logical sense why it's working, and it's working the way it should.
Yes.
Like the crab mechs are the smartest shit, where they all put their arms in and they turn into jets and they start flying, and then they pull out and they grab stuff, and they're not meant for combat.
No.
They're meant to do this grabbing thing. They're tools,
Yeah, they're building tools and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they had the little deep sea vessels, which look like the deep sea vessel James Cameron went down in.
Yeah.
The little forward ones, but then there's other shit too, with the harpoon thing, how he pivots it around, and there's this side thing in the middle of the boat where this door opens and this thing comes out, and how it reloads the harpoon, has this.
You see how everything functionally works.
He moves the torpedo over there. He shoves it in. The thing gets loaded into the cannon.
Yeah, this whole fucking mechanical visual explanation for how torpedoes are loaded.
You know how much that costs? $8 million.
That's the kind of thing that You don't see this in movies anymore.
No.
Like they just cut this shit out.
Yeah.
Like, all this world building stuff, all this is all it is. It's all storytelling.
Or they tell you. They tell you.
Or they tell you about it.
They tell you. This lets you experience.
It's all storytelling. And that's what I love about this shit.
Like
is
in
that
other movies, it's like, well, this is how the planet is this, and they really explain.
And there's good setups too.
Yeah. But this just lets you really like, wow, and makes you wonder about it. Like,
there's a setup and payoff for fucking everything, and that's the crazy part. Everything they set up in the movie is eventually paid off.
Well,
in
the
some
big
way.
one for me was Spiders watching how the pilots operate the ship.
Yes.
And
And he breaks it.
And so he sees the guy do that to take off to ignite the turbines. So like when he wants to sabotage the ship, he just takes a fire hydrant and knocks the dude out, and he just starts smashing
so they can't
that thing, and then he pulls it forward and tries to break it. So it's like, oh, he's showing you how does a ship operate? It operates like this. Why is that important?
Mm-hmm.
Later on, character uses
There's
it.
no wasted
to
shots.
Blow it up. Yeah.
I watched somebody like talking about like Avatar 1, like a screenwriter. He's like, there is not a single wasted shot in this 3-hour fucking movie. Like every single thing has a setup and a payoff eventually between AWA and its weird systems and the way animals work and why they work the way they do and why they do this, what the cultural thing here. It always comes back in the end of the film.
It's funny. There was like a shot too where Spider like really quick about the mask. He's like, hey, I got my mask. I thought that shot was to say like, I switched my mask with some other guy in the fucking in the boat. Mm-hmm. There was a little bit of a shot where the mask, where he grabs a mask or something like that, and then like, oh, because like in the minute, hey, don't try to run because this mask has a tracker. So I'm like, Spider's just like, switch mask with Simmons.
Yeah,
so, like, Simmons
they even set up why doesn't Spider just run away?
Yeah,
because he literally has like his mask is rigged. Yeah, type shit.
But there was like a thing. There's a small scene in the thing where he's like, oh yeah, I'm getting it or something like that, where they acknowledge the mask again, and I thought that was gonna be like, oh, because this is where Spider switched the mask so he couldn't be tracked, but it didn't happen. But I know that's gonna happen like in the future. Yeah,
there's a lot of little neat setups and stuff like that, and yeah, I know there was more as well. There's a weird connection where they're trying to like get info out of him and they're using a brain scan device, which that thing is actually kind of real. I don't know if you know about.
I'm shocked as a James Cameron movie.
So when they're basically trying to get him to visualize, that's something that like people at MIT are fucking dicking with right now.
I'm shocked.
So they've
been doing that for years.
Yeah, so that's the thing where like they're trying to put dreams into video.
Right. So they're actually getting video feed of what you're seeing in your brain, and they're actually getting shit done where like people can like tell you to visualize something, and then like it'll appear on the screen in your brain. So
they were doing that shit like since like MK Ultra and shit like that. They were doing that shit years ago, dude.
Well, yeah, but it's actually
that was like baby.
Now
like,
it's actually like happening. But there's that, and there's also that weird thing with the whales. How he talks about the neurons and all the different emotions, and I'm like, this is setting up for something.
Yes,
brains are a big. Heads and brains are a fucking part of the film.
And even in the planet. So I was already getting the feeling of that just by watching the trailers, where it's like, wait a minute, Grace is young again and she's an avatar. What the hell? They're teetering this Ghost in the Shell element. Yeah. This thing of like what makes what is a soul? What makes you type of thing? Like and even the planet is going to be related to that.
Even with Quadrich,
because
he's in a shell right now.
Yeah, he's in a shell.
They talk about how she has a seizure because her frontal lobe. Yeah.
Yes.
So they specifically talk about that. There's the thing with the whale where they just harvest into his brain from inside his mouth. There's the kid, and then there's the part where Quadrich picks up his old skull.
God damn, that scene was so fucking cool.
I love it. You know what? I thought it would be cool. I thought it would be cool if he just like clipped it on his fucking hip, man. It's like,
no, he's breaking it. I'm not this anymore. It's there to bring his character ahead of that. Like this, this bitch died.
There's a lot of like connection to like the mind and the brain in this movie, and I think it's going to even set up further for more payoffs. I think even though there's a lot of payoffs in this movie, I think there's a lot of stuff.
I think you're picking up on Jim Cameron's subliminal shit, which he sticks in all of his movies.
And the movie is called Avatar. It's called Avatar.
Yeah.
Now Quadrich is an avatar, and like.
So I mean, obviously, like it. Yes,
It makes you think.
a simple story, a relatively simple plot, but the actual storytelling is fucking masterclass. Like the way he's executing his world, the way he's executing like all the things in it, the way they all work, the way the action sequences work, the way the characters have relationships with each other, the way you know where all the... I was kind of just blown away that I'm like, I know where everything is and what's going on right now. This is so weird. Like I've seen so many movies lately where I'm just like, where the fuck are we? Now we're over here. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, and
it's crazy because like there's so many movies that have been bad lately where they don't tell you, or they assume that you're supposed to know.
Or just like they don't spend enough time.
Yeah,
fucking,
they expect you to care.
I forgot what Atlantis is called in Wakanda Forever, but like we spent fucking 2 minutes there. In the dark,
swimming around
in the dark with
in a
really
funny ass suit.
In a funny ass suit, where it's really dark and murky, and it's like it's like a sort of a Mesoamerican underwater. Bye.
Yeah,
that's fucking it. We never go back there.
Yeah, at this point,
we see him in the shark mouth like one tiny scene.
At this point, we really can't look at like at Marvel movies as a frame of reference. We just take them as
dude,
it's
they're the only movies being released in
frame
theaters.
of reference. That's what's crazy about it.
That's the problem is that we really probably shouldn't be
like the reason Avatar and Top Gun are unique films because there are no movies aren't like this anymore.
They can't afford it. They can't afford things that are.
This is the way the industry has been for over a decade.
Yes, they can't afford it.
It's truly like crazy. Where it's like, like you have to start really reaching into like independent film and like look at things that aren't attached to franchises. You really start to go moving outside to find some stuff. And I mean, trust me, dude, I was fucking just over the goddamn moon when I saw what was it, Extinction. Annihilation. Over the fucking moon how much that movie just hit on every note that I'm just like, oh yeah, give it to me. Give me this fucking horrifying bear baby. Yeah, give me this shit. Give me this weird ass fucking ending with this weird looking alien thing. Oh, it's just so fucking weird and nobody's gonna like this shit. I love this shit. It's so fucking weird. So anyway, I appreciate like this weird stuff because I love when sci-fi gets weird. When they start like, you know, we have our understanding of what biology is. We have our understanding of what makes like, you know, our nebulous being. And that's like, well, what if you go to a place where that isn't the case? Or if you go to the place where it's like, no, this is what life is like here. It's completely fucking like in Avatar. It's very similar because it's telling just the story of humans all over again.
And there's this thing, I don't know if any interviewer ever asked this to James Cameron, and I wondered about it a lot because I know how much he thinks about this weird shit.
Yeah.
And that is convergent evolution. It's the theory that life as we know it will naturally evolve to be certain. Because in this movie, there's fish, like just general ass fish. Like his kid, at the beginning of the movie, shoots a fish in a little pond. And it looks just like a fucking.
Looks like a fish.
Looks like a fish, right? It's the idea that like alien life on another planet might look very, 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 very similar.
Yeah, just because of the molecular structure of life in general that we know it, that they mostly do similar shit.
Like things will evolve into fishes and birds and
bipedal creatures,
whatever. And I'm kind of like, I'm very curious how much maybe that was maybe was it for convenience or was it maybe something he actually really thought about? I'm like, okay,
sounds like a little bit of both.
Maybe a little column B, where it's like, you know, convergent evolution, where it's like, yeah, things just naturally kind of evolve this way. Like in Pandora, you'll notice even the whales have two eyes.
Yes.
And that is deliberate because of the eclipses that keep happening. Because Pandora is in front of that giant moon.
I want to go back and look to see what they were really hinting at. Because they used this badass shot of the eclipse of like the gas giant and its sun.
Yeah.
And they have this really cool close-up.
When the sun is gone and they have to use bioluminescent, it's infrared eyes on everything except the Na'vi. Na'vi have special pupils that they've developed. You know, to help you see better.
And this is like all the stuff
all
that
the
James
other
is like.
All the other animals have two sets of eyes, and one of the sets of eyes is meant for seeing when the sun is completely eclipsed out or blocked out of the planet. And so that's like a whole thing. Is that like, okay, well, if this planet's going to be eclipsed constantly, they're gonna have to use bioluminescence to generate their own light.
Well, did they mention how many times the planet goes into an eclipse?
They saw
it's probably a lot thinking because it's a moon. It's a moon of a giant gas planet.
Right, but I'm just saying specifically.
So
like,
it's probably going to happen a lot because I don't remember that gas giant is enormous.
I don't remember that being a thing. Yeah.
No, because it would be on the other cycle. It'd be on the sunny cycle.
Oh, where they
Yeah, and it's got other moons and shit, and they would fucking solar shit.
Yeah, but like if you think about it, it's a giant gas planet.
Yeah.
And it's rotating against this gas planet, and there's the sun, and you would think it would probably happen a lot because that planet is huge.
Similar shit how if you live in Finland, it's daytime all the time.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Fucking, shit like that. Anyway, I really liked it. I think it's setting up for interesting stuff, and once again, I like the fact that it was a more personal story.
I think I like the most the fact that it's just kind of like it's just someone being able to spend all the money for a very particular personal vision.
Yeah.
And I like that I don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
It's not based on anything. There's no book. There's no movie.
There's no
there's
fiction,
no comic book. There's nothing that this is adapted from.
All you need to do.
So I don't know what's.
Oh, it's definitely adapted. All you got to do is think back to other like human atrocity shit,
right?
And eventually like get to the point. So what's the next thing? Is there going to be like an atomic bomb moment? Are we just going to fucking kill each other? Like there's going to be something like that like later on that is an environmental like hazard because obviously like us blowing us up.
This franchise will not go over well with the indigenous Na'vi if it follows the same path as Earth.
Well, we know it eventually does
saying.
because the ride is the future.
Right, so the ride is a spoiler.
The ride is a spoiler. Eventually, everything's fine.
Right? So everything does get a happy.
You literally see the whale from this movie.
So the ride was telling
in the ride at the end.
The ride came out a while. The ride was a big preview of this next.
Well, the ride is the whole land there is canonical to the movies.
Yes,
and it's after all the movies.
It's actually after. It's in the future of all the films.
It's way beyond all the movies.
Oh, so the whale survived! Yay!
I mean, seemingly like there's no humans to be found.
Yeah.
But people are there. There's actually like science teams and people that are doing studies, and you're able to like be like
So
there's like Avatar tourism type shit.
So nerdy shit. When you're in Avatar Land at Disney World, you see like one of the mechs from the first movie, and you can see in the shots this really overgrown, like weathered RDA, which is the military
company from this movie too.
However, there are also boxes in Avatar World called ACE, Alpha Centauri Expeditions, which are more newer and not all faded and worn out.
So RDA is gone by that time.
So they're gone, and Pandora's now a sort of tourist scientific expedition. It's basically
what happens to humans, we don't know. Like, did we stay on the planet? Did we fix the planet? No, I don't know. Or
did we learn from the planet and take back to the Earth, and then we save?
Well, I don't know, but
we take a piece of Iowa and put it on Earth.
Earth. That's actually probably what fucking happens eventually.
Yeah,
that's probably like we learned how
the
like
seed.
You know what? Kenny just fucking solved the ending of the film that yes, humanity eventually learns from what happens on this planet, that our planet is not that much fucking different, and how do we save our planet? It turns out it's the same shit. Our planet is a neural network. It's the same shit. It's all connected.
Or they find out like we did have one and it died.
Simmons wants the dark shit.
Yeah, the dark.
But that's why you need a seed of Awa to like to put
and to bring it back to life,
to bring it back to Earth, or like plant a new one.
Yeah, like where Kiri or something in the future has to go back to the planet, communicate with the planet to get it back to life.
If I call that like a
damn, dude, that's a good.
Kenny calls that,
but that's actually kind of fucking dope. If that's where the story goes, it's about like interplanetary survival of how to like resurrect a planet. How do we get Earth alive again, and just learn from them, because it's actually not that much different. And that's an environmentalism thing. Like, our fucking planet is special, bitches. Like, stop fucking nuking it and shit. So anyway,
that'd be fun.
And then that's how you know the land is true, because like we saved our planet, and now like hey, we can visit this planet.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense with the Disney shit.
Not just try to fucking take this shit, take its resources.
And then you know that's how Final Fantasy VII ends too.
Yeah, just like that.
There you go. All right, that was Avatar 2. It is a movie that is in theaters, and it is.
You definitely
want to see it in a big screen. You want to see it in 3D.
I do not think you need to go out of your way to see it in high frame rate, because a lot of people are trying to figure that out, and that's kind of hard to figure out.
We wanted to see, we wanted to check it out.
I don't think it's necessary, and I kind of want to see it at 24 FPS. I want to see it in a really good theater at 24 FPS.
What about an IMAX?
I'm thinking about going to see it in that IMAX. Yeah, the same theater.
Let's go IMAX
and just see what it's like. I'm a little curious.
I'd be curious to see like normal frame, like 24
normal 24 FPS.
And Steve, how do you like holding your holding it in for 2.5 hours.
Steve held his way of water.
He found 2 hours in because it's a 3 hour.
And I'm like, you could have gone to the bathroom at any point in this
But
film.
Steve did. But see, that's how he kind of liked the movie. He didn't want to miss out. If you're holding your pee for that long, it means you're like, damn, I'm kind of invested.
Yeah, I was invested in it. I mean, because again, it's the movie is more
Steve
about
was dying, bro.
It's like
he was
Max
telling.
said,
He was like,
it's like how Max said it. The movie is more about telling the story, like a world building, as opposed to the story of the plot. So James Cameron knocks it out of the park with that. And so when you're seeing the visuals and you're seeing the aspect and you're seeing the
It's
world
pure
building,
escapism.
yes,
yeah,
it is.
You get lost. You do.
Yeah. It's like, and I can't say this, like everyone said the same thing. There's no way that was a 3-hour movie.
Oh yeah.
Everyone comes out of there and that was like and Steve was probably paying attention because you had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
But it felt like that was an hour and a half, hour 45. No fucking way. And, and a lot of people say the same thing where it's like, Jesus, that was not a 3-hour movie. That that flies by. It's crazy. So
it flies by, but it's also a movie that like goes between like giant long action sequences and just here's how fucking people live in the water.
Yeah, I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's just
here's how they're different from the other people.
Yeah, here's how you live in like this like perfect ocean environment. Like that.
That's good.
And then you walk out of the movie like, oh fuck, I'm on Earth. This sucks.
Go to the beach.
Go yes. Visit the beach for real in Avatar: The Way of Water.